statistically speaking, most relationships fail. It sounds horrible to say, but certainly it doesn't make the experience easy when they do, especially when property assets and children are involved. So tell me, Diane, what things should people consider before separating?
Look, I do not necessarily think these are things people should consider before separating, because when there are so many emotions and things going on, that most people just take it one day at a time. I think that if people are considering separating and they're not coping with their emotions at that point, they should consider seeing someone. This is by no means legal advice, it's simply a practical consideration. One thing people should also consider, particularly if they have children, is how they're going to tell their children of the separation. It is great if people can sit down and talk about being united on how they're going to tell the children that they're separating. This will only benefit the children, but the parties will also benefit from it having an ongoing relationship. Of course, some people may say, should I come in and get legal advice before I separate? That is up to people individually and based on their individual circumstances. And absolutely people can come in and get some advice, even if they're not yet separated. But most people at that point aren't thinking, oh, this is actually going to break down, and aren't thinking, I'm going to need a lawyer. So taking it one day at a time is one of those things that I often suggest to people if they haven't yet separated. Of course, coming to get advice and knowing what they should or should not do will be good for them, but most people don't think they're going to need a lawyer. So most people don't think at that point, I'm going to go and get a lawyer. So in terms of just a practical thing, if people aren't dealing with it, they can personally go and see a counsellor or a psychologist, and then maybe even get their assistance to be able to speak to the other person about, all right, if we're going to separate and this is going to be a mutual decision, how do we speak to the kids? What do we say to them? So it's more of those practical things. And of course they can, like I said, they can come and get advice. To know what to do, where to go, what they should be considering. But some people don't think that that's the right thing to do when they haven't even separated yet. It's a personal thing, I think.
Absolutely. So if emotions are not in check, we could say do something on social media, for example. If that was to happen, would that affect the person and the situation?
Look, if you are not coping, it is possible that you may react or you may say something that you ultimately come to regret. For example, when you're hurting, it can be tempting to vent about your ex-partner on social media.
You see it a bit, don't we?
Well, we do, and they say mean things also in text messages. And I think it's about that instantaneous communication that we now have. The fact is that anything you post online is public and has the potential to affect any family law matter you may have. It doesn't matter, I say to people as well, how impressive your security settings are. The court will look at and consider posts on social media to occur in a public forum. So not to mention, if you have even one mutual friend with the other party, anything you post could get back to them, it could be screenshot, even if you take it down, which some people do, but they do it after the event, after people have seen it, after people have captured it. The other thing is that you may be hurting, but at times the other person is also, and therefore saying nasty things about them on social media or via text message may only inflame an already volatile situation. So it's important just to sit back and think, would I want to see this written about me? Would I want to receive this text message? Would I want other people to see me sending this message? I know that can be hard because emotions are high. Absolutely. And it's easier said than done. Absolutely. But just take a stand back and think, okay, I won't send the text until tomorrow that I've typed, and I'll read it again tonight after I've calmed down a bit from the first one I got, which has made me very angry. Because we are instantaneous. I got a text, I'm going to text back. You know, I'm here, I'll post it on Facebook. This person said this to me, I'm going to post it on Facebook. It's all instantaneous. Whereas back when, how we used to communicate was in letter writing. So we used to have to think about what we're putting on the paper, then have to put it into the mail, and then have to do all of that. And those days are long gone. But the
Probably simpler there.
the instantaneous communication means that we may say things that we often come to regret.
Yeah, and I think we've got to remember too, you know, who's to say that one of the parents isn't screenshotting it and saving it for when the kids are older to say, this is what, you know, I went through, or, you know, so maybe look at it as to your children might read this content one day as well. So be really careful with what you put out there.
And on that, a lot of people forget, which is absolutely fine, because there is so much going on in their life when a separation happens. And when people are highly stressed, there's the reality is that sometimes the parts of the brain, apparently, they say that are meant to work in terms of rationalising things, don't when we're in heightened stressful situations. So what people may forget is that their iPads are connected to their children's iPads, and that that has been the case throughout the relationship, which is completely fine. But then a text message comes through, or you send a text message, it goes on to the text messages on their iPad, because that's how it's always been set up, but there hasn't been that sort of communication, or the kids come to see it, the iPad's sitting there and children read things. It's really one of those things where people just need to take a step back and think about, as I said, would I like to get this? Would I like to be called these names? Would I like the children to know that I'm calling their mum or dad these names?
Yeah. If people separate, is there something they can do to make things a little bit easier?
Yes, it's important to get advice at a really early stage, so that person has information about what they should do or should not do, as the case may be. And it's important to get proper advice from a family law solicitor.
Not just your friends, right?
Well, they probably mean really well, but they don't know the unique circumstances that may be in that person's instance that we need to give some information in relation to. And well-meaning friends may also say things that are part of what you should not do.
Yeah.
But also there are some friends who do probably give good advice. But it may be that there are some steps that you need to take in the near future after separation to protect your interests. And in other circumstances, it may be that no steps need to be taken for some time, and naturally one or both persons want some breathing space to think about things before starting negotiations to formalise their parenting or property arrangements. So we recommend to get advice at an early stage, and that's so that the person has reassurance that what they're doing is right and that they are making informed decisions from a really early stage. It's also important, if the person isn't coping emotionally, that they can go and see a counsellor or a psychologist for them personally. I think it's that "Are you okay?" day, and people say it's okay not to be okay. That is fine. And a relationship breakdown is a really difficult time.
Yeah.
It's okay to see someone about your feelings, and about talking to someone about how you think you can deal with certain things.
So getting advice is something definitely to consider. What about asking family and friends?
As I said, family and friends can be an absolutely wonderful support. But I often say, don't risk being misinformed by really well-meaning friends, family or colleagues. Even if they've been through a separation, every situation and circumstance is unique, and things that may have applied in their situation may not necessarily apply in your situation.
And times changed as well. So talking to your mum when she got divorced 20 years ago, I'm sure it's changed a lot in that time.
Well, times have changed, things have changed, the law does also change, so absolutely. Often though, if people can even get an agreement, they may just want to just come and get some information about what to do. And that's fine. As I said, we often say they're well-meaning people, and they do want the best for that individual. But sometimes the best is just simply someone having a consult to see whether what they're doing is right, and then they can go and make their own decision.
So if you're struggling to come to any kind of agreement through separation, whether it be about property settlements, parenting arrangements, definitely go and see Diane and the team from Ruhl Family Law Centre. They're definitely here to give you a hand through this stressful situation. So give them a call today.